The third Živa Award ceremony. The Živa Award, award for the best Slavic museum. The Živa Award has been established in 2012 on the initiative of an expert project group from the Forum of Slavic Culture member countries. Slavic goddess Živa, also Živia, Siva, Sieba, or Razivia, represents a principle of life, longevity, youthfulness, beauty, mildness, vitality, and fertility. These are the attributes that should describe also the condition of Slavic heritage. With the award, we would like to recognize excellence in the sector of movable and immovable heritage in a special region in Europe, promote best practices in the tangible cultural heritage, and also stimulate the exchange of knowledge and experience throughout our countries and beyond. The Živa Award judge team for the third edition consisted of 12 experts from the Slavic countries and the representatives of the European Museum Academy from the rest of Europe. The jury is chaired by Mr. Pavel Dosha. The judge team has visited all participating institutions in situ. At their evaluations, they were looking especially for the outstanding and creative use of collections, combined with an innovative, interpretative approach. They were following special criteria: creativity, good use of resources, leadership, attention to the visitor, openness, and storytelling. Let's meet the judges of the Živa Award jury in 2016. Mrs. Biljana Brajovic, Montenegro. She is the director of the Public Institution Museum, Gallery, and Library in Budva, Montenegro. Mr. René Capovin, Italy. He is a researcher of the Luigi Micheletti Foundation and a head of the project office of the Musil, Museum of Industry and Labor of Brescia in Italy. Mr. Pavel Dosha, Czech Republic. He works at the Museum of Decorative Arts in Prague as a collections manager. He is the chairman of the Živa Award jury for the year 2016. Mrs. Irina Duksina, Russian Federation. She is the deputy director of the State Museum and Exhibition Center Rosizo in the Russian Federation. Mrs. Neda Knežević, Serbia. She is the director of the Museum of Yugoslav History in Belgrade. Mrs. Lidia Nekočević, Croatia. She is the director of the Ethnographic Museum of Istria. Mr. Massimo Negri, Italy. He is the director of the European Museum Academy and scientific director of the Executive Master Course in European Museology at the IULM University in Milan, Italy. Mrs. Andrea Richter, Slovenia. She is the director of the Forum of Slavic Cultures and the president of the European Museum Academy. Mr. Branislav Svetozarevic, Macedonia. He is the director of the Museum of the Macedonian Struggle in Skopje in Macedonia. Mrs. Elia Vlahu, Greece. She is the head of the museum department of the Piraeus Bank Group Cultural Foundation. Mrs. Sarita Vujkovic, Bosnia and Herzegovina. She is the director of the Museum of Contemporary Art of the Republic of Serbia in Banja Luka and the president of the ICOM National Committee, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Mrs. Nina Zdravic-Polic. She is a museum advisor and head of programs and communications at the Slovene Ethnographic Museum. 19 museums and galleries from 10 different Slavic countries have applied for the Živa Award in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, we present the third Živa Award candidates for the Best Slavic Museum in 2016. History Museum of Bosnia and Herzegovina from Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The museum was founded in 1945 with the aim of researching and promoting the values of anti-fascism and the anti-fascist movement in World War II. These were the values the Yugoslav socialist state was building its state narrative on. After the political and social changes in the last decade of the 20th century, the museum expanded its thematic and chronological focus on the history from the Middle Ages to the present day, changing the name from the Museum of Revolution into the present one. Since 1963, it is housed in one of the most representative buildings of modern architecture, the work of renowned architect Boris Magash. Betina Museum of Wooden Shipbuilding from Betina in Croatia. The permanent collection of the Betina Museum of Wooden Shipbuilding shows the history and use of the traditional wooden boat in Betina and the complete wooden shipbuilding story since its beginning in the 18th century until the present day. The creation process of the collection and its interpretation was a journey from the abstract to the concrete and from simple to complex, distinguished by individualized and personalized skills. The museum is a shining example of what can be achieved when the resources and kindness of individuals and the community come together for a common purpose. Krapina Neanderthal Museum from Krapina in Croatia. The Krapina Neanderthal site at the Hushnjakovo locality is the first paleontological natural monument in Croatia and is one of the most significant paleoanthropological localities worldwide. The new Krapina Neanderthal Museum is located near the world-famous site of the Krapina Neanderthals Hushnjakovo, a fact which makes it a unique visiting complex. The permanent exhibition presents the story of life on Earth and the evolution of mankind, explaining the importance of fossilized Neanderthal remains found on Hushnjakovo. The main aim of the museum is to present in an interesting way the still mysterious path of human evolution and the history of life on Earth. Museum of Alka of Sin from Sin in Croatia. The Museum of Alka was opened in August 2015. The museum display includes a wide variety of uniforms, equipment, and weapons used by the Alkars of Sin, together with the Alka statuettes and rule books presented in a modern, digital form. The story told by the archive materials is an indispensable part of the history of Sin and the Cetinska Krajina region, as well as of the entire history of Croatia. The basic guiding principle is to bring each visitor closer to this immeasurably valuable cultural heritage, whose importance has also been recognized by UNESCO. Vucedol Culture Museum from Vukovar in Croatia. Vucedol is one of the most important archaeological sites in Europe, and it is presented in a unique museum dedicated to this prehistoric culture from the Neolithic period, 3000 to 2500 BC. The civilization achievements of the Vucedol culture are permanently exhibited in 19 rooms. The exhibition reconstructs in detail the daily life and customs of this cultural phenomenon, from its economic aspects to the spiritual and intellectual awareness and revolutionary achievements which made Vucedol the most important European center of the period. New Generation Museum, Interpretive Center, from Žďár nad Zasavu in Czech Republic. This is not a classical museum, but rather an exposition based on modern technology such as video projections associated with music and exhibits. The main objective is to offer the visitor a first-hand experience on topics such as life in the Cistercian monastery, the Baroque, and contemporary Žďár. The project also shows how history connects this place with the rest of Europe as part of the Cistercian European network. The exposition is based on the interpretation, scientifically proven, immersive elements, and interactivity. The City of Prague Museum from Prague in the Czech Republic. The City of Prague Museum runs 13 buildings, 4 of which have been designated as national monuments. In addition to the presentation and care for the objects in their collection, the museum has a well-organized educational system for children and adults, as well as many leisure time activities, such as special programs for different ages and social groups. The museum has recently opened the villa of the architect Otto Rottmeier, a significant piece of modern architecture. The permanent exhibition, The Story of a House and a Family, presents the original style of Rottmeier's architecture that was influenced by his friendship with the Slovenian architect Jože Plečnik. Institute for Preserving Cultural Monuments and Museum of Štip from Štip in Macedonia. The museum complex includes a historical, archaeological, and ethnological exhibition, the Memory House of Sławko Stojmenski, the Museum of VMRO for Stip and its surroundings 1883 to 1934, the Gallery of Exhibits and Icons, Assumption of the Holy Mother of God, and the Art Gallery Bezisten. In the past, depending on the dynamics of preserving and purchase of artifacts, museum exhibitions were enriched with new museum objects. Conservation departments for wood, textile, icons, metal, as well as the Department for Intangible Cultural Heritage present an integral part of the Institute and Museum. National Museum of Montenegro from Cetinje in Montenegro. The initiative to establish a national museum dates back to the late 1870s and was further defined in 1893 at the occasion of celebrating 400 years from the establishment of the Czarnojevici printing house. The institution was officially founded in 1896, the year of enacting the law on Royal Montenegrin Library and Museum. Today, the National Museum of Montenegro is a complex institution consisting of 4 museums with numerous additional services. It is a vital public establishment for the protection and promotion of the rich multicultural heritage of the country and the region. The Regional Homeland Museum Pleolia from Pleolia in Montenegro. The Regional Homeland Museum in Pleolia was founded in 1952. The extremely rich collection and extensive study material from the previously investigated sites, virtually without interruptions, displays the history of human life in the region of the Pleolia area from the early prehistory to the present. The museum annually organizes scientific conferences on the history of Pleolia and the surrounding area and publishes the Journal of the Regional Museum, as well as books by prominent historians, historians of art, and anthropologists. Since 2007, the endeavors of the museum have been directed towards providing adequate conditions for displaying this very rich collection. The Center for the Documentation of the Art of Tadeusz Kantor, Krikoteka from Krakow in Poland. Krikoteka was founded by the artist Tadeusz Kantor as early as 1980. The institution was the cornerstone of Kantor's avant-garde theater, as well as a living archive of his theatrical creation. The unique collection of Kantor's works is the basis of the activities of the center. The new home of Krikoteka opened in 2014, and it is the first art institution in Poland dedicated to an individual artist. The fundamental concerns are the issues such as the nature of the artist's output and the possible ways of representing it in a museum. The concept behind the program of the center has been inspired by the entirety of Kantor's work, as well as the collection, viewed from the perspective of contemporary art discourse and new methodology. Bakrushin State Central Theater Museum from Moscow in the Russian Federation. The Bakrushin State Central Theater Museum is the biggest Russian theater museum, founded in 1894 by the well-known Moscow manufacturer, philanthropist, theater, and public figure Alexei A. Bakrushin. Today, the museum possesses more than 1.5 million exhibits. These are collections of paintings, sketches of costumes and stage sets by outstanding masters of scenic design, photos and pictures, stage costumes, and personal belongings of great actors, rare editions about theater, sculptures, and more. Annually, the museum holds over 70 exhibitions in Moscow, Russia, and abroad, and over 500 scientific and educational events. Museum Reserve Tsaritsino from Moscow in the Russian Federation. The State Historical, Architectural, Art, and Landscape Museum Reserve Tsaritsino is situated in the south of Moscow and includes a palace complex from the late 18th century built for the Empress Catherine II, greenhouses, a historical landscape park with ponds, pavilions, new park zones with flower gardens, and a Sonnet Lumière fountain. The museum was founded in 1984 as the Museum of Decorative Applied Folk Art of the Peoples of the USSR, and at that time the renovation of its architecture ensemble started. The park area of Tsaritsino is one of the most important recreation areas in Moscow and is used for holding citywide public events. Novgorod State Museum from Novgorod in the Russian Federation. The Novgorod State Museum is a guardian of the thousand-year history and cultural heritage of Veliki Novgorod, a true treasure trove of ancient art. It was founded in 1865 as the Museum of Antiquities. Nowadays, it comprises architectural, historical, and fine arts museums in Veliki Novgorod, as well as memorial and historical museums all over the Novgorod region. It represents one of the world's most important museum collections. Two main museum attractions, the archaeological and icons expositions, are located in the building of the former public offices in the Novgorod Kremlin. The collection of Russian fine arts is exhibited in the Museum of Fine Arts. National Museum Zrenjanin from Zrenjanin in Serbia. The museum has more than 100 years long and rich tradition of preserving and presenting the cultural heritage in the region. The permanent exhibition is located on the first floor, where two segments of the art collection, fine art and applied art, as well as the room of sports history, are placed, and on the second floor where the natural, archaeological, historical, and ethnological departments can be found. The work of the museum comprises also a research and publishing segment, as well as a large number of exhibitions and activities with the audience. The activities for children and young people are carried out in the museum playrooms, classrooms, and workshops. Natural History Museum from Belgrade in Serbia. The Natural History Museum in Belgrade is one of the oldest Serbian national institutions. It is the only museum of this type in Serbia, while the diversity and richness of the specimens and achieved results in museology and science makes it one of the leading natural history museums in southeastern Europe. Presently, the temporary storage facilities house natural and cultural heritage that include 120 biological and geological collections, with approximately 1.5 million diverse specimens. Taking into account the number of specimens, the largest collections are mineralogical, petrological, the collections of fossils and recent mollusks, insects, birds, mammals, and the general herbarium of the Balkan Peninsula. Sterečno Castle, Museum of the Považia region in Žilina from Sterečno in Slovakia. The Sterečno Castle ranks among the most famous Slovak castles. Its surviving ruins illustrate its architectural changes from the Gothic to Baroque style. The castle is a unique exposure which offers a historical education, foundation for creativity, and connection between the past and present, history and culture. It is very attractive for visitors due to its historical exhibitions and numerous cultural events. The main objective is to use the Sterečno Castle for the presentation of cultural heritage and the development of cultural and cognitive tourism in the region. The museum can provide memorable, immersive learning experiences, provoke imagination, introduce unknown worlds and subject matter, and offer unique environments for spending quality time with one's family. Carinthian Regional Museum from Slovenj Gradec in Slovenia. It is the central museum institution in the Koroška region, carrying out the public service of protecting movable cultural heritage in the 12 municipalities of Koroška. The museum includes the Museum Slovenj Gradec, the Museum Ravne na Koroškem, the Museum Dravograd, the Museum Radlja ob Dravi. Its mission and collection policies are focused on protecting, collecting, studying, presenting, popularizing, and preserving iron industry, mining, and other technical heritage, ethnological heritage, and local vernacular culture, as well as collecting art and cultural historical materials from all periods. A special emphasis is laid on protecting archaeological heritage and systematically researching and completing contemporary history collections. Kseut, Cultural Center of European Space Technologies from Vitanje in Slovenia. Since its formation in 2010, the Kseut Institute establishes itself on a global map of institutions operating at the intersection of artistic, scientific, cultural, and space-related topics. Its key events are the opening of the Kseut building in Vitanje, a set of exhibitions shedding light on the tradition and continuity of Slovenian art and science pioneers, and, moreover, the establishing of a cultural space program. The Institute itself and the authors of the Kshaut received awards such as the Russian Academy of Cosmonautics, Trend, Valvasorio Nagel, and the Plechnik Award, as well as a nomination for the Mies van der Rohe Award for the building's architecture and the setup of the exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, these were the candidates for the third Živa Award, award for the Best Slavic Museum in 2016.